It began with whispers in the neighborhood. The HOA had decided to build a resort on my private lake. First, I laughed it off. There was no way they could just plop a luxury resort on my property without my consent. But when I drove down the dirt road to my lakefront, my laughter vanished. There it was. Construction crews, cranes, and half-finished cabins scattered across my shoreline, all built on land I owned outright. Naturally, I called the HOA president, expecting protests, apologies, maybe even an attempt at negotiation. What I got instead was arrogance. "We don't see why this should concern you. The community needs this resort." Their entitlement was staggering. They had no legal grounds, no permits from me, and yet they acted like I was the intruder. I didn't panic. I didn't scream. I simply smiled and made a phone call. I own a construction and demolition company, one of the largest in the state, with crews that can mobilize within hours. By the next morning, my demolition team arrived, not to destroy the property recklessly, but to secure it legally. Every building encroaching on my land was documented, tagged, and assessed. Notices were served, making it clear that the HOA had trespassed and that the resort would remain under my control. The HOA scrambled. Meetings were held, legal threats were sent, but every effort they made only reinforced the fact that they were outmatched. Their resort sat unfinished, unusable, and under my authority. Investors pulled back when they realized the landowner, me, wasn't just willing to fight, but had the resources to completely reverse the project. Then came the final move. I decided to sell the land to a private development company that respected property rights. The deal closed in a matter of weeks, netting me billions. Every condo, cabin, and dock built by the HOA included in the sale. The resort they thought was theirs became an asset for someone who actually had permission, leaving the HOA empty-handed, humiliated, and financially powerless. Word spread fast. Karen and her HOA cohorts were stunned. They had tried to assume control over property they didn't own, and instead, they'd handed me an unimaginable fortune. Their credibility evaporated in the community, while my authority and my bank account soared. It was a dramatic public lesson in entitlement versus ownership. By the time the dust settled, my lake remained pristine, the resort under competent management, and the HOA had learned an unforgettable lesson. Never trespass on someone who not only owns the land, but also has the means, knowledge, and patience to turn their arrogance into your advantage.